exciting thing. What are your thoughts on the 3 players you have this year graduating that are heading to the NFL Combine? What are your personal feelings about that?
Well, obviously that means that we've recruited the right kids. Daryl and then Jerry, and then who's the third one that's going? Marshall. Yeah, sometimes they get those invitations, and I hadn't heard that one yet. So to have all 3 obviously speaks very volumes about our program, because when you get asked to go to the Combine, that means that the pro scouts are all very interested in what you can do. And so the thing I think is neat about those guys is that 2 of those 3 are going to have their degrees, and we're really all 3 of them are going to have it, but 2 will have here by the end of the semester.
That's great. So that being said, too, I guess on defense, you have the team has some big shoes to fill for next year. Or what are y'all looking at in preparation for that? I know it's really early. We just finished.
Well, we lost 7 seniors a year ago. That 4 of those guys went on to the NFL, had chances, and 3 of them made teams. And so, the same thing. One of the things we've tried to develop here is not just to be every once in a while to have a good team, but to have a great program. And I think TCU has gotten to that point, and I think that we proved that this year by the graduation we had a year ago and the way the rest of the group stepped up and took their place. And we just found out that we'll be the #1 defense in the nation again for the 4th time in 9 years. And so there's not a lot of people that have been able to do that. In fact, there was a stat, and I don't know if it's true yet. We're still checking it, but I think we're the only 3rd team, and since they started keeping stats since 1935 or 1936 to ever be the #1 defense in the nation 4 times. Alabama and Auburn were the other 2. So it's pretty cool to be in that kind of company.
Yeah, that's great. Were you pleased with the season overall, with the team's performance and with the fan support this season?
The fans were unbelievable. The fans that traveled to the Fiesta Bowl were unbelievable. I'm just sorry that we didn't finish. We came up a few points short, and but it was a great season. If you would have told all of us we wanted to be 12-1, we could be 12-1 at the beginning of the year, we'd all taken it with all the players that we lost. And so for us, now it's our chance now to start back here in a week, start back in the off season, forget what we just accomplished a year ago, and start moving forward and start building a foundation and chemistry and everything that we did a year ago to get where we needed to be. So it'll be interesting to see if we can accomplish that.
Yeah. So if you want to answer this question, how do you feel about the result of the Fiesta Bowl?
Well, obviously, it was our first loss. It's only our 3rd loss in 2 years. So for us, we were disappointed. But I think the thing was different than maybe the Utah loss of a year ago, is that we knew we played as good as we could do, and we just came up a little bit short. And we did not feel like, especially probably on offense, that we did that. It came down to a fake punt, and we turned the ball over 3 times, and we needed to stop them one last time on defense. I don't think that we walked off the field saying, well, that's the best game that TCU could have played. And so for us, I think that that was a little bit frustrating, and I think we'll come back in the off season and go back to prove it. It was the same thing Boise had a year ago, getting beat by us by a point. I think they came back in the off season and said, look, some guys didn't go out in the draft. They want to come back and prove that they could get back to another BCS game, and now that we've been here, now we understand what it's like to be part of a bowl game like that. Now we have initiative to be able to go and try to do it again. It needs to be a lot more drive.
Yeah. What things do you think what are y'all planning on focusing on for next year? I guess what kind of areas do you think is going to be the main focus in the off season preparing for next year?
Well, all of them. But I think that's how you build a good program. You really need to try to get better at every program. Even Jerry Hughes a year ago left out of off season, out of the spring ball, was a better player than he was. I don't think that you say, well, we're good enough there. I think even Andy Dalton, obviously we threw in 3 interceptions our last ball game. Again, we only threw 5 all year. When we get to that kind of ball game again, we need to make sure that we handle the situation and everything that goes along with it. And so there's plenty of room of improvement to do in every area that we have on this football team.
How do you feel about a number 6 finish in the nation at the end of the season?
Well, again, I think the thing that probably strikes me most is just the respect paid by us finishing 6th and having lost our bowl game. So Last year, the respect was paid with 2 losses and finished 7th. This year, the respect was paid by having 1 loss and finishing 6th. So, yeah, I think we have a lot to be proud, not just our football team, but I think our whole university and Fort Worth all have a lot to be proud of because everybody was a part of it.
Okay, so I guess just to wrap up, do you have any sort of a message for the fans at the close of the season about their support?
No, I would say this much to the fans is they made a big difference, and to stay at the top, it takes a lot more work than it does to be average, and so they made a big difference at the end of the year, and for us to be what we want to be as a program, not even at TCU, but here in this community, it's going to take a lot from everybody, and that means we've got to show up in the rain just like they did this year, or the snow, or whatever else it's going to take to be what we want to be as a Frog Nation.